What's going on, everybody? Here we are, the first little video, little live stream of Operation Grow coming at you. Today, we're just going to kind of greet and meet the team, the panel here, who all is participating. Then, yeah, just let everybody get to know each other. Peter, you want to talk about some Minder stuff first with us? Or how should we start this off here? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think what would be great is maybe if we just go down the line, see who's who in the zoo, so to speak, what your current starters, and then we'll go from there.
Right.
Talk about the minders.
Dab time, though. So while I'm heating up, I'll tell how I do everything. So I'll do super soil, then vegging with LEDs, then budding with HPS Super Hortilux. Then I use RO water when feeding, and then every other watering will get Mammoth Microbes, Recharge, and CalMag. That's pretty simple, pretty easy. There's nothing really crazy about it. I do make my own super soil, so it's organic. A bunch of down-to-earth amendments will be in that. And yeah, I'm excited to pop this Jamaican Hash Plant, dude. I really, it's the Jamaican Bobsled, Jamaican Hash Plant times Space Dude. I really like that one. Stood out to me on the list a lot, just because of the Hash Plant Jamaican. But I'm glad to have it in this grow off for the first time, for sure.
Yeah, that sounds quite interesting. So we'll get back to what we're growing, the cultivar as well at the end. I think we can talk a little bit about that once we've gone through the rest of the people.
Stony Scholar, how are you going to be growing these beautiful seeds?
Well, I'm kind of switching over right now. I had been growing all with advanced nutrients. I just switched over to where in my veg, I'm running Jack's 321. So we're going to see how that goes. I'm going to keep running my advanced and my flower until I run out of newts, but then I'm just going to be all Jack's.
Yeah, you don't want to waste no nutrients.
No. I still have like a half a gallon of each. So everything's on a flood and drain because I'm lazy. I like to be able to top off all my reses and walk away for 4 days if I need to. And all of my lights are LED. I've made them all.
Do it yourself?
Yep, all DIY from Rapid LED. Learned from Grow Mouse on how to put them together and figure out, what your specs should be. And yeah, I'm a big DIY guy. So,
how many watts you got going on?
I don't know. I would have to count them up. I'm guessing a couple thousand watts.
Wow.
That's power at the wall too. That's not like replacement. So yeah, I'm trying to juice it up in there.
Yeah, 1,000 watts at the wall. That'll be quite a serious amount of light coming off an LED panel. That's for sure.
2,000.
2,000. Okay, yeah.
Well, that's between both of my rooms though. That I've probably got something like 700 watts in my veg and maybe 1,300 or 1,400 in my clean room. But yeah, I find you can grow really good fire with LED. Anyway, that's my story. I'm sure there'll be other questions or things that'll come up as we go, but that's kind of the nuts and bolts.
Excellent. Great.
Nice. Going down the line here. Northern Beatty. Is it Beatty or Beatty?
It's Beatty.
Beatty. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to it's pronounced or spelled like Beatty. I'm like, I don't know if it's Beatty.
Yeah, I get it all the time.
Right on. So we're just kind of sharing how we're going to grow all this. If you want to tell us how we'll be doing it.
Well, that's the thing. I'm still up in the air about how it's going to probably be me and a buddy of mine. We're probably going to tag team this and kind of use both of our resources. He wasn't able to hang out with me today, but we're thinking either we're going to grow it at my place or veg at my place and maybe flower at his place. We both kind of run the same system. We have cocoa and dry amendments, a little bit of compost and some mycorrhiza and all that other stuff. He has a metal halide. I have a few LEDs, a couple of blurples and some optics. I got a couple of optic ones. I'm thinking we're probably going to try to run it as a 4-plant female operation, just to kind of see. I guess in Canada we have a 4-plant limit, and it would be kind of, I guess, maybe be some useful data if we kind of have this one set up as a legal grow in Canada, right, where the market's probably blossoming and growing quite a bit here. There's a lot of people that'll probably be limited to 4-plant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Show them how to do a small setup type grow.
Yeah, well, we don't know yet, right? We're either doing a 4x4 tent, which I have, or else we're going to use his grow room to flower it up. I mean, his is a little bit bigger than mine. I don't know the exact dimensions, but he built an actual grow room where I'm just using a tent.
Right.
Yeah, so we're probably going to tag team it, and we're just trying to figure out exactly how we could use our resources best and kind of get both on the same page. He's usually the guy, if I'm traveling for work, he's coming to look after my tent and my garden. So, yeah.
Nice.
Right now we're using Guy Green Organics. I'm kind of adding a little bit more on top of that. But for the most part, we're going to try to do in soil with organic dry amendments and a combination of metal halide and LED lights for the duration of the growth.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And it would be good to be able to see at the end, for instance, again, when the whole idea behind this is to be able to come up with what is the optimum pot size against light, against grow medium, etc., that will give you the best yield. So, or whatever it is that you're looking for, because it doesn't necessarily have to be yield. If you're looking for something in particular, it might, extra yield may not actually be what you're after.
I've noticed a lot of my plants, the lowest yielder is always, not all the time, but most of the time, it's the terpiest.
So then be able to correlate that down for if you're only growing 4 plants, this is what you should be doing to get the maximum out of bang for your buck.
I mean,
on this particular cultivar.
Yeah, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pop all 10 seeds. Hopefully, we'll get 4 females. If we get a little bit more, I'll probably take on the overflow and grow them out to fruition. But I think for on camera purposes, we're probably just going to restrict it to 4 plants. And we're not really stepping on any legal issues here in Canada.
That's a smart idea, because you also, I mean, my pop badgers and PGAs I've been testing, I usually get only like 4 to 6 females at most. So 4 is probably what you would shoot for, and when you pop about 10 anyways.
Yeah, so I think that would be a pretty decent yield, and it'll be fun to grow. And I mean, we're pretty competitive, me and my buddy, so we'll see how that plays out. That might be
that'd be good.
Yeah.
Like a bit of friendly rivalry.
Yeah.
We got Mystic Grower in the house today.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? How y'all doing?
Great.
All good.
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, and to all the mothers that we grow in our gardens.
See, there you go. That's why we need a female, because look, we've already gone down 4 people, and nobody's ever said something about Mother's Day.
Well, okay, so I'm Mystic Grower, and I also have my sidekick Cobb Grower, but he doesn't come on the live.
We'll have to break him of his shyness.
Eventually. Yeah, he doesn't even do too many events. It's usually me that puts my face out there. Anyhow, he's the techie guy, and he's the guy that really helps me understand the technology. But I'm the one that gives the plants all the love and all that good stuff. But he builds our. I'm kind of like you, Stoney. You said a lot of things that we grow like. We learned we DIY our lights. We follow in the Grow Mouse technology. We're using 1,000-watt cob lights right now. 1,200 watts of cob lights DIY. Indoor LED. We grow inside in grow tents.
So everything you're flowering and vegging with LEDs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, right now we're actually using. What are we using for vegging? Oh, we're using 2x4 like LED strips, I guess, right now, just to veg our moms.
Nice.
Yeah. And we switched our nutrients to Jack's 321, and we learned about that from green jeans, I believe. Yeah, and that stuff, we found really good results with that. So I really like it. It's real simple. Yeah, it's Jack's 321. It's Jack's Nutrients. And it's really simple, really easy to follow, really easy to use. It's pretty easy. And it works. I like the results. So we're using that. Outside, we use organic. We use the like nematodes and ladybugs and other insects for bugs and things like that. And I use some of the organic pesticides.
So you're in Cali where you can grow indoor and outdoor.
Yeah, but right now where I'm at, I haven't been doing my show, the Dab and Gab, for a while because I haven't been growing. I've had my mom shelved for a while because I've been trying to save up money to get into a house because I'm indoor. I don't have any facility or room to grow outside, and I really want to be outdoor in the natural sunlight. You know what I mean? Especially with the PG&E, with all the fires and stuff that happened. They're raising all the rates on us here in California, so we're having to pay their restitution. And so it's kind of hard, growing inside with the LEDs and trying to be, control freak with the control of the inside environment.
Yeah.
It takes it takes a bunch out of your pocketbook to do that. So, so I've kind of shelved it for a while, and I'm jumping back in to get involved again. I've been itching to go live again, and I haven't had much to talk about. So going live with you guys is taking that little craving away, and I'm going to get to grow again for a minute. So I'm excited. I'm really excited about this Jamaican bobsled, and anything that comes out of TGA, anything that's Badger, I'm really. Excuse me, it's still Badger. Okay, BadgersDank. Anything that comes out of Badger stuff, I'm really interested in doing. So I'm excited.
Me too. I've had good luck with all the seeds I've had from that whole sub-cool side of the seed breeding game.
I haven't done any hash plants yet, so I'm super excited. With me being everything that I do, I smash all my plants into rosin, or I just did some dry sift the other day.
Buds and all?
Yeah, I just get the big old bud and I just smash it in a little patty, and I put it on some parchment. Here we go. Here's some of my last squish of the hash that I made.
Well, there you go. Dab time.
Yeah, I do all concentrates. I don't smoke flower at all, so I'm a glob snob.
All right.
And that's also going to be that's the other bit that comes out of this, is because people that go for concentrates are looking for something different in people that are growing flower.
Oh yeah.
For consumption, you don't care what it looks. I mean, you really don't care what it looks like when you're squishing it.
No.
People growing for flower are worrying more about what it looks like.
Yeah, when I trim my buds, I don't trim them to look like they're gonna go to a cup. I trim them just enough to get enough of the stuff off so I can squish it.
Save the sugar leaf.
Yep, but I'm excited about this hash plant. I'm looking forward to it, and thank you guys for letting me be the odd woman out here.
My pleasure. Hey, I'm glad to have a woman on the grow.
Odd's always good.
So right down the line, we got the Mad Monkey here.
Oh, what up, guys? Am I still muted? Am I muted?
I hear you loud and clear.
All right. Yeah, I've been doing this for a little while. I'm going to be growing underneath 600-watt HPSs. Eventually, I'm going to try to switch it out to some LEDs in there. I'm just working them in.
So you're going to veg and flower these under the 600?
No, everything vegging out will be underneath LEDs and a ceramic metal halide that I have in there.
Nice.
And then everything pretty much gets grown with the Lucas formula. Using the little bit of micro and a little bit of bloom. I'll supplement with like some CalMag and liquid karma.
Excellent.
I haven't had any experience with any of that you just said.
Yeah, I started out in soil for like my first 2 years and then switched over to hydro for my main flowering just because it's so much easier for one person to handle that.
Yeah. And that's something else. I mean, we're hearing different nutrient lines that we don't necessarily see or get over here in the UK as well. So that's going to be interesting. I think there'll be people from this side of the pond interested to see how some of these nutrients perform in a controlled environment.
Yep, yeah, I use like a Botanicare, the Pure Bend Pro for all my like dirt plants, and that's where I'm at right now.
Not too bad. I want to see all this diversity we got going here, especially with the minders.
Mm.
Well, one more
That's-
before we get into that. I'll get deep into that. Dr. Wiggler. Go down the line. It will be on the grow with us.
What up? So, yeah, I'm Dr. Wiggler. Just a worm farmer. I grow a little bit of weed on the side.
Hey guys, sorry
be a
I'm
lot of
late.
fun.
That's all right, Tony.
I'm an all organic grower, so I don't use any bottles. I haven't bought a bottle of nutrients in my whole life, basically. If I can't make it, I ain't using it. My dirt's pretty old. I started by making dirt with compost and just sand, and I do add a ton of perlite because I need that aeration. So for that reason only, I might not. I don't know. It is, but yeah. So I'm gonna set up under a single-ended HPS for this grow. Set up a little box. I used to use it for breeding, but I'm gonna use it for this. Just to have a control just for this little setup. See how it goes. And I definitely want to thank all my family for coming in the chat. I see y'all. Much love.
Right on, right on. So Johnny down here just joined the panel with us here. And I muted you just to when you got on there. But we're just going down the line here, trying to just tell everybody how you're going to grow, lighting, nutrients, soil, what's happening here. I got you muted though.
Yeah, I just unmuted it.
Gotcha.
Sorry I'm late, guys. I didn't realize what time it was. My fault. Sorry.
Hey, it happens, bro.
Sorry. It's Mother's Day too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm a cocoa grower. I used to grow in soil, but got too hectic for me, too messy. I didn't like dealing with the mess. So cocoa perlite usually 80-20, but I think this mix I want to try super soil, but I've never done it before, so I don't know if this is the right time to go about it. I don't really know. I'm kind of undecided on that.
Here's what I tell people that want to get into super soil that are on the fence, like you're just now saying, is instead of going and worrying about buying all the right amendments and making the right amounts in this batch of soil, go and get down to earth BioLife. It's already blended together, and you literally I've done random tests on this. So a 10-gallon pot with normal soil, just regular bag soil, 3 cups of BioLife blended in that little dude will run 65 days, no fucking issues in flower whatsoever, just water poured on it. So when people really want to get into organics, I say go get BioLife. It's already been pre-blended together of stuff like crab meal, alfalfa, kelp, and you just mix up soil, make a run with it. If you like the results, you just know it can get a little better, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's not. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like that's not enough. I feel like I'd be cheating or something.
I wouldn't think that because I use it on everything. I'll top dress with it. If I run out of super soil, if I like misjudge, because you have to let it sit for 60 days.
That's what I thought. You have to let it cook, essentially, right?
Except for BioLife. BioLife, you don't. It's ready to go right then and there. But it has to be good, like a mature plant. You're not going to put a clone in there. That dude will fuck it up.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
But if you did that, just put the BioLife at the bottom of the pot, and then just put normal soil at the top.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah.
Layer it out, taco it.
But if I run out of super soil, that's my go-to. It's on the shelf right now. That's what I can go grab. I know I need something in my soil for food, and I don't have super soil. I'm going to get the BioLife. I'm making a batch of it.
You see that you raised an interesting question, just an interesting point there when you about clones and a mature plant. Will you not consider a clone of like a 1-year-old mother to be actually a mature plant? Because the clone itself, I mean, this is just a
Okay, I'll rephrase it.
possibly how I look at it.
I won't say mature plant. I'll say a plant that has developed a developed root system.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's just one of those things. You know, often you'll see when on the nutrient lines, they say, "Oh, for seedlings and cuttings," and you go, "Well, a cutting is not a new plant. You know, it has a slightly different nutrient requirement to a fresh seedling that is brand spanking new. You know, that won't handle a hot mix at all. But I would say, cutting off a more mature plant could probably handle a hotter soil or a hotter mix than a seedling would."
Depending on what's in it. I've made stuff in the outdoor when I used to be able to do it out here in Colorado, where we put a fucking 4-month veg plant in that dude, and that motherfucker died within 12 hours. Is dead. And all the leaves were just fucking brown and blood, just shrinked up as if somebody sat there with a small blowtorch and went around and fucking
shit.
Wow.
Sounds like it was still cooking hot.
Oh
Yeah.
It was the first time I really experienced super soil on a mass scale, and we tried it with it was like a George Cervantes recipe, and he had like one was like chicken manure and kelp alpha or something like that. I can't remember it verbatim, but
Or
man,
it was too hot.
Yeah, the chicken manure would have made it hot as
that
hell.
chicken shit will fucking fry your super soil up, make it super hot.
Yeah, it will.
That was the hottest I've ever seen anything get. The one I make now, it doesn't get that hot. I like people try to tell me like it should get a certain temp. Like it doesn't like get no. It's like 80 room temp. It doesn't like heat itself up or anything.
So I was thinking about that, and I did see that. I was thinking about maybe cheating too. I seen that Subcool was coming out with a new super soil, so I might just snag a couple of bags of that if it's ready by then. But I don't think it's. I think it's just out in the testing phase now. So
You can also go to like Build a Soil, and he has like a whole setup just for. I mean, I'm not trying to plug him, but he does. He has like a super soil ready mix. Boom.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yep.
Yeah. What I always try to tell people, if you're going to start in super soil or organics at all, you know, start with a super soil and literally cut it in half. You know, just cut it in half. You can either do that by adding twice as much dirt or less, you know, amendments. You know, cook it and then just add twice as much dirt right to it. Just mix it into twice as much dirt after you cook it. It'll be half as strong. You won't have any nanners and all that problem. You might have a calcium deficiency at best, but you can always top dress in the end.
Where's the beans?
Good advice. But as far as that, I use Green Planet nutrients, Tribus microbes. What is it? PL 300, PL 100 for enzymes, something like that. I forget the name of it. It's Nectar of the Gods. It's one of their products.
I hear good things about that company.
Yeah, Nectar. Yeah, it's a great company. I use it's an organic based line, super high calcium line. I got a buddy that swears by it. When I run out of my newts for mine, it's what I actually use their pH up and pH down, because theirs is much better than what Green Planet offers.
Good.
I might need to check. I need something super high in calcium, magnesium. So I want my CalMag. I just use Botanicare, but once that bottle's gone, dude, I want something. I know there's better shit out there. Since I bought
Try Nectar, and they sell bottles. There's just straight calcium too, calcium carbonate, I believe it is. They sell just straight bottles of that with no magnesium in it, no nothing, just straight calcium.
That might just be all I need. It's calcium. I think that's my biggest issue.
And it's like $20 a bottle. You know, about
that's
roughly what they. No. And for lights, I'm trying to get away from the HIDs, but for some reason I still find myself fucking hanging one back in my room every fucking time. I just hung one again the other day. I took them all out of there when I finished this last harvest, and threw up some new Spectrum Kings, and everything started to fall over in my room the other day. So I had to spread everything out, tie everything off, stake everything up. So then that just spread my room wide open, so the lights weren't covering it. So I had to throw a Thowie in there. My
It's
electric
nice.
company. My electric
It's nice
company
to have
loves.
the lights like. Say again?
Nothing like a Thowie, man. Nothing like a Thowie.
Yeah. I've
Yeah,
learned
that
that my last run with LEDs. I did run a little test thing with LEDs and tried because I did the 500 watts, which should be equal to 1,000. Ran it. I didn't get the beautiful purple bouquets and stuff that I usually get out of my buds, and I definitely had a lot more smaller buds at the bottom. The penetration wasn't there, so I lost yields. But the terps were equal, justifiably equal. But I don't know. I want to run some more LED tests, and I don't know.
That is one thing you did. I'm glad you mentioned that. I did notice though my terp levels on my plants are fucking through the roof this round.
now, do you
Because this is
think
the first
that's sorry? Do you think that's maybe because the LEDs are pushing out less infrared heat, so it's
I
not
do.
heating up the surface of those leaves, so you're not essentially boiling off the
That's
low
what-
temperature.
That's exactly what I
turkey.
think it is. I think my leaf surface temperature is a lot. Obviously, it's not as high because now I'm having to run, a little heater in my flower room, which I've never have to do when you're running HIDs. You got to run AC, and now it's the opposite. So, and I definitely think that's why. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Experiment that we're doing here will be interesting for that, because I've heard with LEDs you want a higher leaf surface temperature than you would with HPS in order to get that growth rate that we're all looking for.
Do you? I don't know.
I
I'm
mean,
not sure.
it's just what I've heard. I've watched, some of these shows. They do a lot of LEDs, and they're always talking about leaf surface temperature needs to be higher than, with the HPS as far as that goes. Like, they want the leaf surface temperature in the 80s instead of in the 70s.
Yeah, they want like 82 or something, I think.
Yeah.
Right. That's what my buddy said when I started building the lights. He's like, bump the room up to 84.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
that's what I run my room at is 84.
Yeah, because what you're having to rely on more is the ambient heating rather than the direct heating from the lights themselves. The misconception I get sometimes with some people is that a 600 watt HPS and a 600 watt LED, put them in the same room, the 600 watt LED is producing less heat than the 600 watt HPS. No, they're both produce 600 watts of heat. That's what you're actually producing, but it's how that heat's produced is different. In terms of the headlight, it's actually the light that's producing the heat. And so that's pumping out a lot of infrared heat at that point, that spectrum. Whereas with an LED, the heat is still coming off the LEDs, but it's not using heat to generate the light. It's just that your energy's got to go somewhere. And that ballast will warm up. So everything, so an LED is sort of, an LED light fixture is heating the room in a more even way, if that makes sense, rather than you getting surfaces getting hot. It's heating up the air. And so that's why you need to possibly raise the room temperature, because you're relying on the overall room temperature to actually heat up the leaf temperature rather than the headlighting heating up the leaf temperature.
Makes sense.
Because I think that's what often surprises people is when they go and slap a big LED into their grow space. It's like, wow, that's not running any cooler than, I put a 600 watt LED in thinking it was going to run cooler than my 600 watt HPS, and it won't. It will run at 600 watts.
Yeah.
Just that the amount of light that 600 watt LED is pumping out will make the 600 watt HPS
heat level is way different. Total night and day. I have two Spectrum King 402s.
Yeah, Peter, I'm gonna have to disagree with you too.
Yeah. It's all open for debate.
So when you're running LEDs, your driver, whatever it's rated for, let's say a lot of them will be like 200, 300 watts. Mm-hmm. So watts is something you pay for. It's not a rating of power. So if you're pulling 500 watts at the wall, then that's a half a kilowatt hour, and that's how you'll be billed. So 1,000 watt light pulls 1,000 watts at the wall, and it puts out what everybody knows is a lot of light if you've ever run HID lights. The problem with it is, and the difference between LED is LED puts out almost zero infrared light, whereas the light that comes off of an HID, and don't quote me, I think it's around 20%, 18-20%. So if you ever sat in front of a fire, you know what infrared heat feels like, and that's what's warming up the leaf surface temperature, and why you need to run your rooms at like 72 if you run an HID, because they're basically sitting in front of a small fire, and they're getting nice and toasty from that extra energy. So that's the difference with LEDs. And yeah, you do have some waste heat, don't get me wrong, but it's nowhere near the amount of heat that you get off of an HID, and you then also have almost zero of the infrared, and that's where your big savings is.
So what is your take on the terpene levels on that then?
Oh yeah, I think you definitely. All right. I respect the dab time. One moment.
Well, I meant you to answer the question while I did my dab.
All right. Too late now. Too late now.
Yeah.
I really think this unit's going to give us a good
Hey,
idea.
we got to get some.
What we're talking about with trying to get that dialed.
Okay, so what was the question now, though?
How's that?
I got a big rip off there.
I asked how.
The
what were your
terpene
thoughts
levels.
on the terpene levels on that.
So I think, it's been a long time since I've grown under HID, so I'm probably not the best. I can tell you that I grow some fire under LED, and that the rationale that you don't have that infrared heat warming up your leaf surface temperature, I think that there's probably something to that. So yeah, I think it's easier. I'll put it that way. I'll stand firm that it's easier to grow more terpy weed with LED, but I can't tell you 100% why.
I think it's because they're not cooking under that fire.
That makes sense now when Peter said that. That hot 82, 84 is just so, and especially buds right underneath that light intensity and HPS especially, probably melting off those.
Yeah, but it's a total different 84 degrees in an HID room than it is in an LED room.
True.
84 degrees, that's a total different 84 degrees. You can even tell when you walk in. You can tell. I don't know if you could tell, but I can tell when someone's growing an HID light or an LED light. You can feel the moisture in the air. You can feel. Even if their humidity levels are still at the same, you can still. I don't know. It's strange to explain. I don't know. If
it's the difference in like the humidity for sure. I can definitely feel the difference in mine.
And I think that may be again because I mean this would be great to to dive further into and see what we can work out. That could very well again be because of the leaf surface being heated up by the headlights. That's causing the plants to transpire more, which is what's resulting in that slightly higher feeling of higher humidity potentially under a headlight than under an LED light.
I thought my room would get, so I had CMHs in there, 1000s running, and I traded them out for the 500 watts LEDs I'd made, do it yourselves. And I thought it would definitely drop the temperature. But no, like how you guys were saying, yeah, it didn't drop the temperature at all. And that shocked me. I was like really expecting that.
Yeah. I mean, if you keep the driver for an LED light, if you were to keep the driver in that outside the room and just run the wiring into the light inside the room, you drop the heat being generated, because that's part of the catch is that driver pumps out. That's getting warm and pumping out heat as well. So that's what I mean by that wattage. Like when you buy a bar heater, you buy a 5,000 watt bar heater because that's what it pumps out, 5,000 watts of heat.
Right. That's just with your ballast. I always try to keep my ballast out of my grow room. If I can keep it in a different room, get it the fuck out of there.
I definitely have my ballast out of the.
Yeah, keep that bitch out.
But what you see with most of the LED designs is that the driver is attached to the panel.
Yeah, but that driver isn't baking enough to cook an egg either.
No, but when you put a whole bunch of them in there, it starts to. I mean, it all adds up. I mean, that's the thing. If you can remove all the bits, as you're saying, normally when you're running an HID light, you've got your ballast outside the room. I'm saying usually the catch with the LEDs is because the ballast or the driver is usually built onto the panel or already attached to it. You don't have that option of removing that heat source and putting
Right,
it
and you still have to add a heat source.
Well,
Well, go ahead, Scotty.
I was going to say the great thing about the DIY is that, you know, if you want to do that, if you want to run with your drivers in a different room, all you got to do is just buy a long cord.
That's exactly what I was about to say. If you did your DIYs, you just fucking make your own goddamn drivers go out the room.
Yeah, the thing is, you know, in the winter, I was running a 500-watt heater at night. And I really could have run it during the day, but I didn't want that extra expense. And my room was staying like 72 degrees.
You running lights at night or during the day when you do this?
I was running them during the day in the winter.
And lights off at night and heaters on?
Lights off at night and heater on. Yep. But and that's running everything in the room. You know, all my COB lights are on big aluminum heat sinks. And some of them are actively cooled too, so they got a fan blowing across them. So it's really moving that heat off of them. Your LED lights will really run better if you can keep them at a lower temp. So I tend to not drive mine that hard, but so I guess the point I'm getting at is they don't put off enough heat to be worried about. I don't think for the average person, because I had to supplement heat in the winter. But yeah, if you can get them out of there for the summer, you know, it would be better. I just don't know if it would be worth swapping them back and forth for summer and winter.
So when you run this heater at night, are you running the temps higher at night than during the day when the lights are on? Like a negative def?
No. It's just to keep it, you know, I don't want the temps dropping down into the 50s at night.
Right. But have you ever heard of this thing called neg differential?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I do try to keep my nighttime temperatures a little higher than the daytime. If it's ideal for me, I want 2 degrees above my daytime temperature at night.
So it's not a lot then. So it's not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Why?
So
they just say the plant growth rate is optimal like that, and this monitor is really going to tell us why. To be honest,
the reason people here do it most to run the temps higher when the lights are off is that if you have super tall stretchy plants, it will minimize the stretch on those plants as well.
Yeah, with the warmer temperatures at night, from my understanding, is they basically never go into that lull. They're just, you know, they're constant.
Well, the way
it's an old trick used by a lot of the flower producers, where they will do that to keep everything down. The other way of doing it, the other thing that they do then to reduce the growth is they bump the nutrient strength up, is the other option that they have, or they flip for negative diff to keep the growth down.
I knew there was a few reasons why. I just couldn't think of them. Just that first one.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it'd be good.
When I read about it, that's when I was like, when I first found the minders. That's kind of something I stumbled across when I did a lot of research. Because I feel like, man, with the minder unit, and so we have all the same. Everybody's got the same strain. Minder units telling everybody what the parameters and rooms are. I feel like you could literally write a fucking day-for-day recipe. Hey, this is the cycle that the schedule this dude needs to go by, and you will have fucking dank bud, like flawlessly. I feel like it could
or any crop for that matter. If you use it long enough with any crop, you'll be able to get there for sure.
Right. You could sell fucking a pack of seeds with here's a minder, and here's what the room conditions, a whole fucking like 60 or whatever growth cycle you'd want to make it. Any vegetable, dude. Anything can grow.
Yeah, the guys selling good quality environmental controls will love that, because it'll all be about how well can you control your environment. Once you have that recipe, you just need a minder unit and the best environmental controls you can afford, and you can grow dank bud by recipe.
I think growing anything's really about environmental control, no matter what you do. We're using ACs and DUs and this and that, and we're controlling our own environment for the most part. But the bottom line is, if you have that perfect environment, you're going to grow some dank, tomatoes, weed, anything.
Yeah, just a quick question that's coming from the chat there from some Marco Pork Chop about some LEDs. What are they called? Messiah? Maisie?
They're my
LEDs.
LED. That's a buddy of mine. He grows with Mai's Eye LEDs. He's just asking us if any of us have used the Mai's Eye LEDs.
No.
I haven't. No, I'm running for my chilies. I'm running fan lights.
Yeah, he uses the Mai's Eyes. He really gets the bang for the buck out of them Mai's Eyes. He really does. If I could afford them, I would have probably filled my room with them.
This is the first time I'm hearing of them.
I use them for my tent right now. I have two of the. I guess they're the 300 watts. I think they float 137 out of the wall. From my understanding, is most blurples, they're going to be more or less in the same range, and I think the Maises are probably on the upper end of that limited range of differences between them.
You're budding or flowering?
It's blurple though, right? They have a blue and then a red spectrum. They don't really have the blurple. They got like a blue and a red. Am I correct?
Yeah, well, there's two switches. There's a veg switch and there's a bloom switch, and then for flowering, I usually keep them both on. So
Check them out.
Yo, why can't I see chat?
Where are you at, on YouTube?
Yeah. No, Google Hangout. Yeah.
You have
Oh,
to
yeah,
go
it's
to
with
the, so you're going to go to YouTube, pull up the Operation Grow channel, but when that video comes up, you got to mute it or pause it. And then you'll
Gotcha.
have chat over here. And if you're in chat, go to the top left-hand corner of your chat, click that live chat or top chat. It needs to be on live chat.
Yeah.
Most people's, when you come in here, it's going to leave you on or automatically put you on top chat. You have to click up there, top chat, drop down, hit live chat. Because you'll miss chat, so I guess I've been told.
And then the other thing about the whole, this whole environment monitoring is everybody tends to focus that the environment is just the grow piece. There's the whole bit that comes after that. And especially with this particular crop, you can take at the point of harvest, you have a $1.5 million crop. After you've dried and cured it, you've got a $4 million crop. Or if you screw it up, you've got a 50-cent crop. It depends on what you've done there. I mean, that's, that critical piece that still needs to be monitored and tracked and managed. So that's the other piece of the puzzle that we fill.
Is that me doing that? So,
Dead time. Dead silence.
Yeah, you just have to mute that.
All right, my torch is down, but I'm definitely going to smoke some of this bubble hash with y'all. Cheers, everybody.
What flavor you got over there?
It's just a rainbow run. It's from the trim from the last harvest, so it's just the rainbow. There was 26 flavors in there, so
That sounds
oh,
good.
rainbow, he says, I like that.
It's a good way of calling it.
That is.
The blend.
I just did a big ass stab of some sauce.
Some sauce. Y'all have nice pricing out there in California?
Say again?
You have nice pricing on your sauce in California?
I don't know. I don't go to the Rex. I have someone process my stuff for me. This was my outdoor harvest last year.
Yeah, that's way better. Everybody here that wants to process your shit in Colorado basically wants your whole fucking stash.
Oh, I give them like 40 to 50% of it.
Jesus.
Okay, that's about
Oh, no, it was 30?
that's about normal, yeah.
Oh, 30% is what I gave this guy. He did me a deal.
That's a friend hookup, I suppose. Yeah, everybody out here is no less 50. They're taking 50%.
yeah, I process hash here locally. I'm just talking about bubble hash, and I don't take anything less than 50.
Well, I want to give the guy that processed this a shout out. His name is the Gas Pump, but he's taken several cups here at different places here. So great stuff.
That's nice. Especially when you can turn.
I think somebody needs to mute their live feed from the YouTube channel.
Somebody's got
Say that again?
Somebody's got the YouTube channel playing in the background. It keeps coming through, or it's just me. I can hear.
Yeah, you can't listen to the
feedback.
YouTube and the. You can only have one of these
Mine's
playing.
muted.
Yeah, it's good. That's
Mine's muted.
better. No.
There we go. Yep. So yeah, guys. So the minders are in. I got them this weekend. I'll be getting out the minders and seeds next week.
Yay!
That'd be great. And then just one thing, what we'll do is get everybody the platform to go to. I'll put it in the chat. This is if you registered on the app.peelgrow.systems one, then that's fine. Just remember what your username and password was, because it works on both the app and the beta.peelgrow.systems, which I just posted in our chat.
Find up on your website.
Let me pick a proper link.
The website we'll use will be a little different, Johnny, than the one on the website.
Yeah, it's the one I've just sent the link to. It'll be going live. I keep saying it'll be going live in a few weeks, which it will do. I'm just having to rewrite all the controller code, which is taking a bit longer since we added in a shit ton of options.
Up for is null and void, or
No. That username works. No, the username and password that you would have registered on the other site works on this one as well. It's just literally the front end, some of the application, but that's changed. The user authentication is the same. But so that link that I sent out on the chat now, if anybody hasn't registered, use that one and register there. It makes no difference. But when you get the minder units, that'll be the site to use.
For the guys in the chat that might be wondering what he's talking about, the minder unit is not only, I mean, you get a environmental controller which will tell you what's going on in your room, but you also get a whole platform to record all kinds of information for your grow that you would never even imagine was involved.
That's rad. I'm looking forward to geeking out on this and learning all the technology.
Yeah, no, it's
It's definitely the geeker tool if you're trying to really be scientific with your weed and shit, and hey man, I can look at a fucking 60-day chart and tell you day for day what my temps were for every fucking minute, and humidity, and
Come on, any one of us growers that are actually growing for ourselves or for some weed that we care about, who's not geeking out on how our room's set up and what temperatures it is? And I mean, I freak out if my humidity's off. I do everything I can to get it right. I mean, I'm sure all y'all do the same thing, no?
And then you have, of course, what we always discover is as soon as somebody starts using this and they see what's going on when they're not in that room. Because most people, when they go and have a look, 2 or 3 times a day, maybe they pop into their room and they have a look at the hygrometer hanging on the wall, and it's always usually the same when they go in, and they think everything's fine. And now suddenly they see what happens when the lights go out, and there's this panic all of a sudden to try and adjust everything to get it perfect again. And you actually need to say, step back. You were growing absolutely fine until you saw all of this data. Nothing's changed. You now just need to don't go and change everything at once to try and fix it. You have to just focus on one piece, and dial each one in progressively. If you change all the settings, it's going to be far too difficult to sort it out, or at least understand which bit it was that you did that made the change. Yeah, because what we do beyond just, we actually. The journal, which is what everybody will everybody needs to be filling out when we do this. You'll put in there how big the space is that you're growing in, cubic meterage, or we can do the cubic feet to meter conversion. Google can do that for us. And then the size of each pot that you're using. So if you're popping all 10 seeds and you've got them in 10 pots, you'll add 10 pots to the platform. Say what size they are, what grow mediums in each one, and then as we're going, the journal will record anything you do at each container. So if you go and trim one plant but don't trim the other, you can record that, yes, on this container I trimmed the plant, on the other one I didn't trim it, and it will timestamp it when you actually did that trim. And ideally, if everybody could then also, for instance, record the weight of what they trimmed off. So at the very end, when we close it out and you do the final yield to waste ratio, you can see that you can then see which plant's combination of pot, again, pot light, grow medium style gives you the best yield to waste ratio. You may well say, look, it gave me 150 pounds, but it produced 350 pounds of waste. This one only did 50 pounds, but only produced 25 pounds of waste.
Now, are you looking for dry weight or wet weight?
I think as you go along, you'll have the wet weight, and then at the very end, you could do a final dry weight. So you could have the wet weight of all the bud when it's ready to be dried, and then actually when it's dried, especially if you do a dry trim, you may then have to do, okay, dry weight versus dry trim when it's done. We can have that final piece as well.
Well, just to play devil's advocate here, basically then under those rules, if I don't trim my plant, I win. Because that would be zero waste.
Well, no, because at the very end, when you chop that plant down, you'll weigh up everything that's not bud. So at the very end, when you chop it down.
I just think that I'm not saying I have a better metric. I'm just saying I think that we could probably come up with one.
Now, also, what if our room is not dedicated solely to those plants? What if we're running other things in there at the same time?
That's okay. I mean, that's the idea about being able to record what you're doing at that container in a room where you may have a bunch of other things, other plants and other things. So you can record in this space. It's still, we have all of the environmental data that was being generated along with what activities were carried out, which resulted in this output. And if you're not trimming anything off, then that's not your style. But it would be interesting to see is people who do the trimming, does that actually make any difference? If people go and leaf strip, and that's what I mean by trimming it. If you go and leaf strip half the plant off, we'll weigh up how much you
right. I just don't know that it's acceptable to call it waste, because I could definitely pull more weight in fan leaves off of a big giant plant over the course of its lifetime than I'm going to get in bud easily if I want to do that. But I could also just selectively prune and get a lot less weight. So like I said, it was kind of on the spot. I don't have a better metric for you at the moment, but just for the sake of tracking data, it's interesting.
Yeah, and then also, I put a bit in there that will allow you to record growth. So what's height, radius, nodal length, distance as well, so we can record those as we're going, and see which bits, where do you get the accelerated growth, which bits caused acceleration of growth, because that will be interesting to see across everybody's style. Who kept it in check? Where did it suddenly shoot off?
Another thing I like about this thing too, Pete, and everybody is, I get a lot of testers given to me from breeders. Imagine, so I'm a breeder. I got 5 badass testers that have minder units, and I can see into their grow rooms, and they can set their shit the way I want them. So they all get a pack of seeds, and they don't get the numbers. I like how Peter's mentioned this to me. That's where I caught on to it. Nobody gets the strain names. It's literally a serial number or just a number. So you can't judge anything. Pop the seeds. I want this guy to put it in. I want him to run it kind of cold, and humidity is kind of fucked up. I want this guy to run it super hot, maybe a little higher humidities, and the next guy to run it maybe in the middle, kind of normal. Have it spread across the board where you want to stress that plant out as much as possible, and see what the plant comes out on the end product with those 5 tests. I feel like that's a good way to stress plants. And you can kind of look in the room and say, okay, this room was this temps, these humidities. That's what we were trying to look for, to see if there would be any stress factors or anything, issues that would arise.
We'd want to do that with a clone, not really from seed, because we get different expressions and different things from seeds.
Well,
I don't know. As somebody that's bred some plants and made some genetics, I totally believe you're right on the money there. When I go to get testers, I want people with all different grow dynamics. I mean, different grow rooms, different lights, different temperatures, different spots of the country, different spots of the world. And all for this reason, what he's saying. So they got different climates, different this, different that. I mean, it's total perfect sense.
Yeah, I was thinking of the stress factors. I know how some people want to run it, like some plants don't do well in high heat. Some plants love it, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I've had some plants that'll just start to, what do you call it, cattail out if they get too warm or something, or too much light intensity.
Yeah, yeah. And that's it. I mean, you get the different cultivars that will prefer different temperature bands. If you look at where they come from, I have a little bee in my bonnet about this at times. You know, you take a look and say, well, where does that cultivar come from? You know, surely it does help if I kind of grow it maybe in conditions that it developed itself in. You know, so if you look at something like Durban poison as an example, and you look at Durban, you say, well, the lowest average humidity is around 70%, and temperature is usually between maybe sort of 25 and 30 degrees centigrade, 32 degrees centigrade. I mean, in the middle of summer, it's really humid and really hot there. But it's a very windy, it's on the coast, so it's very windy as well, which is why those plants can handle high humidity and high heat. And then you see people running them at, 45% humidity. And I'm thinking, well, that's not what that plant's actually looking for. It's looking for a much higher humidity.
Right. So when that dude went and bought those seeds, if that breeder already had his little, well, this strain works best in these conditions, here's a 90-day or 120-day cycle. If you meet these parameters with these seeds, you're going to have success. Now, you didn't just buy a pack of seeds when you have to just be a good ass grower to fucking make it work, but now you have a recipe to go with your seeds.
And also for places like, Canada, they've only got that 4-plant limit. And if you do want to do a seed breeding program with 4 plants, that's quite tricky. But you could now farm it out to 30, 40 friends who maybe dedicate 2 plants to you. And then using the minder, you're doing a 60-plant grow all of a sudden. But you're collecting all of that data. So you're sort of farming out your seed breeding program to be able to get to those numbers without ever breaching any limits.
I like it.
And then the other thing would be good to, what I want to go through when we get that up and running is the different ways of looking at the data. Because again, as I was saying, when you're taking readings 2 or 3 times a day or even 20 times a day, you can plot that out on a graph and it's okay to read. But when that suddenly becomes, 20,000 points a day, that's a slightly different challenge you have. And how do you look at that data and make sense of it?
All right, guys. I think we've come to an end here. Heated my fucking dab up. This will be the exit dab, guys. I'm glad everybody joined us. We're missing a few people, but it's going to be one that I don't expect everybody to be able to make it every week,
Hey, I'm glad to be here. I'll be looking forward to being here every week, actually. I've been missing my live life.
Yeah, no, it'll be good fun. And then, if anybody knows of any sort of like guest speakers that we could get on to talk about certain aspects of things, that would always be good. It sounds like we could maybe get some LED people on board to come and talk about LED lighting. Maybe speak to some of the, I don't know, we could maybe get people like Spectrum King to do, if we could call them on, jump on to do something. I know I could speak to the LED manufacturer that I use. They'd probably be quite interested. I know they would be looking at the US market, so actually being able to speak to people would be interesting. And they're ag lighting. They've been spending a lot of time tweaking their spectrum specifically for cannabis cultivation. Most of their customers are big CBD growers in Switzerland.
Ta-da. All right. Everybody, till next time, peace out.
Yes. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Cheers, guys.
Later, everybody.
Guys.
Cheers.